ULP 95.7 FM, The Choice, Candler, Asheville.
Programming at 95.7 The Choice is made possible with the generous support of business partners like Area 22 Guitars. Area 22 Guitars is Western North Carolina's only boutique guitar shop. Whether it's an American-made all-tube hand-wired amp like Matchless, Divided by 13, Carr, or Fargen, or a U.S.-built custom luthier electric guitar brand like Anderson, PWE, Zion, Rowan, or Gatto, Area 22 Guitars specializes in the unique needs of the discerning musician. They carry a full line of boutique effect pedals like Keeley, Exotic, Rockbox, Menatone, and Wampler. And their acoustic guitars include Breedlove, Larrivee, Eastman, Bedell, and Crafter. Area 22 Guitars, not your average guitar shop. For more information, go to area22guitars.com or call them at 828-884-2222. That's 828-884-2222.
95.7 The Choice would like to thank Dry Pros for their generous support. Dry Pros has 27 years of experience in the cleaning, restoration, mold remediation, and waterproofing of homes and businesses just like yours. Whether it's a routine cleaning or restoration from flood damage or mold, the team at Dry Pros has the experience to get it done right the first time. Cleaning all types of floors, windows, fine area rugs, and upholstery, they cover it all. For more information, their number is 828-277-9511. That's 828-277-9511, or visit them on the web at www.drypros.com. That's www.drypros.com.
It's that time of the week again. This is Brent. Welcome to the God's Great Land of the Wild radio show. And I'm your host for the next hour, along with my co-host Samuel Lee. And we're live from our downtown Asheville Radio Cafe studio on Patton Avenue. I had written down here on my notes, okay? I'm just saying because I know he's probably listening. Just saying, Pete. I had down here, Pete, my trusted friend and engineer, is with me. Welcome back. But alas, this is radio, so I must say it's not the truth.
Yeah, but we also said, Pete never looked so good.
Yeah.
So,
and he's probably getting a kick out of that now. I think they're going by to get him right now. That's the sirens you hear in the background. But anyway, Pete, we miss you. We're looking forward for you when you get back. John did a great job last week when we had Derek McCarson in. He's the author of the book Origins.
Wow, they're going after it today, aren't they?
It's extra special. Usually there's one, maybe two, but tonight there's like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had a great time last week with Derek. On the radio show Homefront, you're going to continue to see updates. You notice today it wasn't Welcome to the Brent Robert Outdoor Show. It was Welcome to the God's Great Land of the Wild radio show. So you're going to continue to see those little changes. Yeah. Man, we got a great smoking website going to be put together that's going to run into that. Be all sorts of bells and whistles for people to go in and mess with video, audio, all sorts of type of stuff. That's probably going to take several weeks to roll out. But in the meantime, the updates that are coming are nice.
Yep, working on our opening song and trying to get that together.
Yeah, we got a bunch of changes coming. So you'll continue to see the expansion of the old Brent Robert Outdoor Show as it morphs into the God's Great Land of the Wild radio show. We're probably going to start syndicating maybe coming up in the summertime here. All sorts of different plans. You'll see some of them. Some of them you won't even notice. They'll be seamless. All for the better as we move forward in teaching and educating people about the outdoor pursuits they enjoy as we explore God's great land of the wild. I mean, that has always been our driving force and our motivation is to educate people on, man, like I say, from skydiving to scuba diving, and everything in between. If it's outdoors and it's exciting and it's adventure, or it's something you use in the outdoors, we're all about exploring that.
Yeah. Even mountain biking.
Minus spandex. No,
But come on now.
don't. All right, I'm gonna post your spandex picture up. You're gonna
Okay.
make me do it. Anyway, and a matter of fact, I'm going to go right now. Otherwise, I will forget this, and I'm going to look and see right here. We're doing the drawing right now. Is what I'm doing as I
Yeah.
go through for the turkey video.
I did the spandex and shook him all up. That's what it is.
That's what it is. No, I'm just kind of rolling through here to see who's the person that pops up. And why does it do that? Oh, see more. There you go. That'll work. This will be it. Michael Bruder, you have won a DVD on turkey hunting.
Michael Brood.
Yeah. So we'll make sure that Michael gets that. I'm going to draw another one too. Matter of fact, I'm going to pick this one because I know he'll put it to good use. Our buddy Chip.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Chip will get several, and he can hand them out to his boys out at Cross Trail Outfitters.
Yeah.
So there's our winners for this month. Next month, I've got a handmade turkey call. We were talking earlier to our guest Danny about chestnut trees. Well, this handmade turkey call is made out of an old chestnut tree. So wood's a couple hundred years old. That'll be a real nice drawing for the month of March.
Is this Danny Silvers?
No, this is a Don call.
Okay, yeah.
Now, why?
Just testing him.
Okay.
Just testing him.
Don, my buddy Don.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we'll post him up on there too. Don, who went wolf hunting with us in Macedonia. Why can't I remember his last name?
Because you're slipping tonight.
I guess. I can't, but I have trouble with names anyway. On today's show, we have Danny Robinson, and I'm excited about this. I met Danny at a knife and gun show a couple months ago. Got to talking to him about his knives. I actually ended up buying several of his knives to give them away to people. He's got a company. All his information's posted up on Facebook.com, God's Great Land of the Wild. That's another change that's gone on. If you punch that in, you'll come up to the Facebook site, right? Anyway, Danny's a custom knife maker, and Danny's X-Files, hence the name, they're old files, knives are a result of his lifelong drive to build handmade knives and offer an affordable and unique knife being both practical and usable. And I'm going to tell you, the ones I bought were not very expensive. They were great gifts. I don't think his knives, even though they're awesome looking knives, and again, if you go to Facebook.com, God's Great Land of the Wild, you can find his website. I got a link in there, and go on in and look at some of the knives he's got on his website. They're awesome looking knives. But the ones that I got, guys just love them. They're a keychain knife. Never seen anything like it, and they're unique. Okay? So, you don't want to miss this, right? You want to stick around and we talk to Danny about knives and knife making. If you're interested in knife making, it's another reason why you want to stick around, because we're going to get into that with Danny. He's got a bunch of resources, some of which we'll get up on the website, others of which you can just Google them and go there yourself, okay? So, then on the Outdoor Life segment, Sam will share how iron sharpens iron, right in with our knife theme today, right? So you want to stick around to find out about that and more. Right now, we're going to take a partner break, and then we'll be right back with Danny Robinson and Robinson X-Files. We'll see you after these messages.
Local community. WGNW 95.7 The Choice.
95.7 The Choice would like to thank Dry Pros for their generous support. Dry Pros has 27 years of experience in the cleaning, restoration, mold remediation, and waterproofing of homes and businesses just like yours. Whether it's a routine cleaning or restoration from flood damage or mold, the team at Dry Pros has the experience to get it done right the first time. Cleaning all types of floors, windows, fine area rugs, and upholstery, they cover it all. For more information, their number is 828-277-9511. That's 828-277-9511, or visit them on the web at www.drypros.com. That's www.drypros.com.
Programming at 95.7 The Choice is made possible with the generous support of business partners like Area 22 Guitars. Area 22 Guitars is Western North Carolina's only boutique guitar shop. Whether it's an American-made all-tube hand-wired amp like Matchless, Divided by 13, Carr, or Fargen, or a U.S.-built custom luthier electric guitar brand like Anderson, PWE, Zion, Rowan, or Gatto, Area 22 Guitars specializes in the unique needs of the discerning musician. They carry a full line of boutique effect pedals like Keeley, Exotic, Rockbox, Menatone, and Wampler. And their acoustic guitars include Breedlove, Larrivee, Eastman, Bedell, and Crafter. Area 22 Guitars, not your average guitar shop. For more information, go to area22guitars.com or call them at 828-884-2222. That's 828-884-2222.
.7 The Choice would like to express our thanks to our business supporters like Ichiban School of Self-Defense. Ichiban Mixed Martial Arts provides a safe, family-oriented environment for people of all ages and skill levels to be able to train and prosper, both mentally and physically. Whether your interests are physical fitness, self-defense, competition, or just a healthy outlet for stress release, Ichiban Mixed Martial Arts will provide the tools to reach your goal. Their programs provide a well-rounded, athletic approach to martial arts in a safe, fun, family environment. For more information, go to ichibanmma.com. That's ichibanmma.com, or call them at 828-423-0662. That's 828-423-0662.
All right, this is your host, Brent, with my buddy Sam and Danny. And I want to introduce you to Danny Robinson with Robinson X-Files. Danny, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Glad to have you. I know we've talked a few times. It always seems to be raining. The last time I bought some knives from you, it was raining too.
And cold.
And cold. I met Danny out at Mike's gun show that they have over in Fletcher. Got to talking to you a little bit. Of course, worked around, called you back a time or two, and bought some knives for some buddies of mine.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, and then we had some conversations going on back and forth about having you on the show. So I'm excited about this because the more I delved into it, the more I realized the whole knife culture, and it's like anything else, man. Deer hunting culture, turkey hunting, the trout fishing, the bass fishing culture. The black powder guys, balloon guys. I mean, there always is a culture that wraps around these things. But the thing about the knife thing that I liked and with all these things is you don't have to go very far to find out that you've got more interest than just knife making, Right. But, hey, do this before we get started into the knife junkie stuff, okay? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm originally from Augusta, Georgia. It's kind of where my knife making passion began. There was a guy across the river from us in Aiken, South Carolina, named George Herron, who made custom-made knives, and he moved up to a very high level in the business. And I always wanted one of his knives, and there was no way my father was going to pay $60 for a hunting knife.
Right.
So I just had to wait until the day came, and I could afford one of my own. I was 32 years old when that day came, and he had a 20-year wait by then. I actually got my first knife of his from a flea market and called him to see if it was stolen because
really?
I got it so cheaply. And that's where the bug was planted that haunted me for years. And after doing several other things, I worked as background in Native American prehistory, a degree in anthropology, and
right.
Worked in the field for University of South Carolina for a while and got into therapeutic camping with troubled teenagers.
Okay, cool.
So always had a knife in my hand at work.
Well, matter of fact, because when we were talking earlier, I think part of your little thumb knives, if you go to the website, you'll see these. They're made out of a file and about the size of a thumb.
Starting points is what I call it.
Starting points.
That's right.
You can literally see, I can see where your your Native American influences come from in those knives. You really can. Did you see that, Sam?
Yeah, yeah. It almost looks like a small arrowhead, or something of that size. That's very handy in your pocket. Easy
Totally
to hold.
intentional.
Yeah.
Totally intentional.
Would be used. I mean, I could see if you could make that out of flint. You could open up a squirrel with it or a rabbit, and his little knives. You could do the same thing.
Absolutely.
Be a great first knife to go along with a kid with his 22 and he's going out hunting for his first year, wouldn't it?
Yes. I mean, it's something that's not going to. I mean, obviously, you could cause great harm with it if you worked hard enough at it, but it's something that's small enough to do, like you said, Danny, 90% of what you use a knife for, you could use this for.
Absolutely. Inch and a half blade cuts most of what you're going to cut in a
Yeah.
given day. Smaller tool. It's easy to manipulate. Small or big hands. It's
And it's
just a great,
sturdy.
it's
Very
definitely
sturdy.
Definitely sturdy.
Yeah, a nice knife. So we talked about where your interest in knife making originated. Share with us then exactly what you do, what Danny Robinson does each and every day while you're making knives.
I start first. My week consists of every week or so hitting the rounds at the flea market to get the raw product to work with. I use vintage American files because it's fantastic, high carbon tool steel. I get the stuff so cheaply that basically all my prices reflect as labor. I'll start with a raw file, just profile it on the grinder. If I have to cut it to length for something, I chop it off with an angle grinder, step up to a 2 horsepower motor with a 2-inch by 72-inch belt, start taking away everything that doesn't look like a knife.
Right.
Some of my knives incorporate a little blacksmithing, twisting, heating, so that's another phase and another step, but you can step up with a bar of steel and walk away with a perfectly serviceable tool.
So, you're going to flea markets and looking for old files.
I used to look. Now they look for me. I can't go to a flea market within 50 miles of Asheville without hearing, "Hey, file guy, hey, knife guy, got something for you." The flip side of that is when I started, it was, "I'll take 25 cents. I'll take $1."
Right.
Now that's $2. That one's $6, and I just laugh like you're doing. And I say, "Yeah, well, we'll see you next week."
So what people are seeing now is they're not seeing a file anymore. They're seeing a knife when
That's
you
right.
get done with it. and
yeah.
thinking,
They see, "Hey, man, you're going to sell these things. You can make 5 of those starting points, and you charge $35 a piece. Come on, I'm like, "Yeah, I'll see you in a couple of weeks." Then I come by and buy a pile of them. 8 of them I've been refusing for the past few weeks, and
Right.
get them cheaper than if I'd have just made a reasonable deal with them to begin with.
I hear you. So how many files are you going through in a week then?
A week depends on how many I mess up. I can go through. I can get 2 knives out of files that I'm using now.
Right.
I go through a dozen or so a
Okay.
week. I've been through several thousand in my career.
So here's another thing, right? If you want to find out more about Danny, you can go to facebook.com, God's Great Land of the Wild. But if you also have a file collection that you're willing, huh, Danny?
I hear it all
I'm
the
helping
time.
you, brother.
I hear it all the
I'm
time,
helping you.
and no one has produced every show. I'm like, "Yeah, my grandfather had a 55-gallon drum full. It's right there in the back of the truck. I'll go out and get it for you."
Nobody shows up.
Never
huh?
see them. Never see them.
I
Bring them
hear you.
on. We'll work
I
something
hear
out.
you. Well, let me ask you this. How long have you been making knives then?
I've had equipment to make knives for about 5 years, and I played with it on and off for a couple of years. But really, about 2.5 years, I've really put myself into this. For so many years before I started making, I traded other makers' knives, some high-end makers, buying and selling other makers' work. And I actually walked into Wayne Hendrick's shop one day and said, "Hey, Wayne, I'd like you to make me 10 of these."
Now, who's Wayne?
Wayne is a knife maker in Allendale, South Carolina, very well known, makes hunting knives. He was a student of George Herron, who was a good friend of mine. And at the time, I wasn't building knives, but I threw a drawing in front of Wayne and said, "Hey, Wayne, make me 10 of these, and I'll sell them, and we'll split the money." He pushed the picture back and said, "You've had equipment in your house your garage for 1.5 years. If you can draw it, you can make it. Go home and get busy." So as I grumbled and walked out of his shop, I realized he was right. Went home and started grinding steel. Went back to him a few weeks later with some knives in my hand I had made from garbage around the house.
Right.
And he advised me at that time, he said, you're going to mess up. You're actually going to get it right one day, and the steel you're using is worthless. He said, grab some old files. It's great steel. It's cheap, low investment, high return. He said, practice on those for a while. So I've been practicing for a few years. And I think I'll keep practicing with it.
It became a cornerstone.
Well, it's working well. It's a great concept. I can offer a good knife at a low price. And I keep a bunch of stuff from going back into recycle.
Yeah.
It's upcycling.
Yeah.
I'm turning something that was headed for the scrapyard into something useful and breathing another life into it.
And I mean, to tell you really need to go to his website and take a look at him. He's got a few pictures up there, and we're going to get some more from him and load them up on God's Great Land of the Wild site, because when you go to the knife show and you see him, he's got several different ones there. They really are pretty. You really do good work with them.
Well, I appreciate that. I never get tired of hearing that.
Well, let me ask you this then. What's unique about your knife making then?
That's a great question. I had no idea really what was unique about my work until I started putting it in front of so many folks. And I think people are surprised to see that I'm using files. They don't realize the great value in that steel, but it's nothing new. On the farm, when somebody wore out an old file, they would sharpen the edge, slap a corn cob on the end, and use it for hacking bushes around the farm.
Yeah.
I'm just taking it a little farther. I think the appeal is it's so very simple. It's just one piece of steel,
right,
and some subtle lines and twists and turns make it fun to look at and make it useful.
Well, I have noticed, because it's you do so much with them. It's not like, I mean, your little starting point knives, you can take a look at them, but each one of them is unique. It's like a fingerprint. I mean, it's no two are the same. You make Kydex cases,
right,
to go along with them if somebody wants one. But I've even noticed on your files, when you're doing your files, I'll look at them and say, no two are exactly alike, and not the same style, but they look a little different.
Right.
You have a lot of styles that you end up doing too.
Right. And I would get bored if I didn't do that. It would kill me to make the exact same thing. I did 100 knives for A.G. Russell catalog, and I took that order on with a lot of enthusiasm, and as I ground out number 100, I really didn't care if I saw another one of those again. So
now they were all the same.
They were all the same, pretty much. I don't use any jigs or patterns or dyes. I do step up and just do everything freehand. Things are subtly different, but everybody's hand is a little different. You can pick up any 4 or 5 of my similar knives, and you'll feel subtle differences.
Right.
I want people to hold the knife and feel it in their hand before they buy it.
Right. Now, for people that don't know, explain who A.G. Russell is.
A.G. Russell is a purveyor of knives. He's been in the business for 60 years. He's been reselling other makers' knives for many, many years.
He's bought out a lot of brand names.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's bought out some old names, Morseth Knife Company,
correct,
and some of those other.
You remember Morseth, right? That
yes,
Michigan Skinner that we sold? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he owns the Morseth name. He started out as a maker, and he was selling sharpening stones on the side, and other makers wanted stones so much, he thought, why should I compete with these guys? I'll just sell stones. He was trading stones for knives, all of a sudden had a huge collection, saw what these makers' knives were bringing, decided to sell his collection, and that's when he started reselling other makers' knives. Came to our table in Atlanta, picked one up. He said, that's cute. If you get right with me on 100 of them, you got a deal. So we made a deal, and I'm very happy and pleased with the way it turned out.
Well, you're listening to the God's Great Land of the Wild radio show on 95.7 The Choice, and we're going to be right back with more Danny Robinson and Robinson X-File Knives. You won't want to miss it. We're going to get deeper on into how you can make a knife if you want to. We'll be right back after these messages.
Supporting the local community. WGNW 95.7 The Choice.
95.7 The Choice would like to thank Dry Pros for their generous support. Dry Pros has 27 years of experience in the cleaning, restoration, mold remediation, and waterproofing of homes and businesses just like yours. Whether it's a routine cleaning or restoration from flood damage or mold, the team at Dry Pros has the experience to get it done right the first time. Cleaning all types of floors, windows, fine area rugs, and upholstery, they cover it all. For more information, their number is 828-277-9511. That's 828-277-9511, or visit them on the web at www.drypros.com. That's www.drypros.com.
Programming at 95.7 The Choice is made possible with the generous support of business partners like Area 22 Guitars. Area 22 Guitars is Western North Carolina's only boutique guitar shop. Whether it's an American-made all-tube hand-wired amp like Matchless, Divided by 13, Carr, or Fargen, or a U.S.-built custom luthier electric guitar brand like Anderson, PWE, Zion, Rowan, or Gatto, Area 22 Guitars specializes in the unique needs of the discerning musician. They carry a full line of boutique effect pedals like Keeley, Exotic, Rockbox, Menatone, and Wampler. And their acoustic guitars include Breedlove, Larrivee, Eastman, Bedell, and Crafter. Area 22 Guitars, not your average guitar shop. For more information, go to area22guitars.com or call them at 828-884-2222. That's 828-884-2222.
.7 The Choice would like to express our thanks to our business supporters like Ichiban School of Self-Defense. Ichiban Mixed Martial Arts provides a safe, family-oriented environment for people of all ages and skill levels to be able to train and prosper, both mentally and physically. Whether your interests are physical fitness, self-defense, competition, or just a healthy outlet for stress release, Ichiban Mixed Martial Arts will provide the tools to reach your goal. Their programs provide a well-rounded athletic approach to martial arts in a safe, fun, family environment. For more information, go to ichibanmma.com. That's ichibanmma.com, or call them at 828-423-0662. That's 828-423-0662.
Okay, we're back, and you're listening to the God's Great Land of the Wild radio show, and we're talking with Danny Robinson about Robinson X-Files knives and knife making. You can find out more about Danny Robinson and his knives, Robinson X-Files, hence X-Files. He makes, a lot of his knives are made out of files, by going to facebook.com, God's Great Land of the Wild, and I've got all his information posted up there, his cell phone number, email address, website. You need to go to his website and take a look at that. You can Google his name, and you will come up with a lot of boards that are talking about knives and knife making. And I've seen a lot of your pictures up there, and you seem to have a lot of credibility in the knife making fraternity, from what I saw.
Well, you know, I hope I do have some anyway. At least not lack of credibility is good.
Well, you know what I found, Danny, that after talking to you and realizing that you've been really kind of been into making knives for the last 2 or 3 years. How long have you been full-time selling them?
Yeah, pretty much since I started making. I started making.
So it's not like you've been in the knife making industry for 20 years, but it seems among the guys that I saw on doing the research that I did for this show, right, that you're held in very well esteem, and you're like a rising star in the knife making.
Oh, don't condemn me. Don't curse me.
You're a rock star, man. You're a rock star of knife making.
Yeah, hopefully not a one-hit wonder. I hope I'm around for a while. I appreciate that compliment.
Let me just clarify something. Now, you've only been doing this for a year?
2 years.
2
really
years.
Full-time.
Let's say as a profession.
Pressed into it, right.
But almost pretty much self-learned, self-trained?
Totally self-taught. I know other
amazing.
makers. I've been in their shops, but it's been on social visits. Never took a class or anything like that.
On several different websites that I've been to that have boards on them, he's on there. If you put his stuff on in, and you'll pull it up, and you'll see these ongoing conversations with other knife makers. I mean, you guys have like knife making jamborees, don't you, where you guys get together and stuff?
There's the International Blade Show and Cutlery Fair in Atlanta every year. That's a huge event. It is to the cutlery business what the Chicago show is to the automobile industry.
Okay.
It's a very big business. If you think about it, everybody has a knife collection.
Yeah.
Whether it's in their kitchen drawer or hanging in a frame on the wall, everybody has a knife every day.
Oh, yeah.
And all the manufacturers at the show, from the guys who make your kitchen knives to the guys who make $20,000 high-end handmade customs.
Right. Well, it was cool to see, and I'll tell you the other thing that I saw, because we're going to get into, some of the people being able to make their own knives and stuff, and the information that we talked about, resources. one of the things that I saw is they are very open on those boards. If a person wants to become a knife maker, and you've got at least, because let's face it, I couldn't make a knife. I could, but it looked like mud on the bank, okay? Because I'm not artistic. I'm the first one just saying, to be honest about that, okay? I'm just not. My middle boy now, I mean, we talked earlier, he'll do drawings and sells his stuff and that sort of stuff, very artistic, but I'm not. I've got more brains than I do artist ability. Don't say anything. I can
That's
see your lips
still
starting.
out for questioning.
So, anyhow, so I know if you want to, if that's something you want to do and you move in that direction, those guys seem wide open to apprenticeship people, for lack of a better word.
There are quite a few folks who'll do that. Everything I know about knives I've learned from somebody else, and if you take the time and meet the right people and make the right connections, a lot of folks have doors open to people who are really interested and serious about learning.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. How does somebody get involved in knife making? You mentioned the one association, right? But is there like a knife makers association? Or?
There are two. The two biggest would be the Knife Makers Guild and the American Bladesmith Society. The Knife Makers Guild is an organization promoting the stock removal guys, and stock removal is basically a bar of steel, and you just take everything away that doesn't look like a knife. The American Bladesmith Society is you can take a bar of steel, bang on it for a while into the nearly desired shape, and then grind away everything that doesn't look like a knife.
Okay.
And the American Bladesmith guys are the ones making the Damascus, and they can use a variety of steels that a stock removal person doesn't have at their disposal because they're able to bend and manipulate the steel in ways that you just can't do with a grinder.
Okay, I got you. Now, you were saying right here in our own backyard, real close to Asheville, North Carolina, I mean, they actually have the whole, what would that fit into? We were talking about Haywood.
The American Bladesmiths Society actually offers classes at Haywood Community College that folks can sign up for and move through all phases and levels of making, from very introductory to the Master Smith level, which is the highest level of achievement among those folks who are actually heating and beating on their blades.
So if you wanted to cut your learning curve down and you were going to be, I guess, is there a word for it, Danny, when you're more on the blacksmith side of it, when you're actually taking a raw piece of steel and beating it into a blade?
Forging.
Forging,
The guys who forge versus
Uh-huh.
the stock removal crowd. And there's debate about both. There have been, as long as there have been makers, there's been debate about both, what
Right.
techniques provide the best. It's two great techniques for very different types of
Would
knives.
both of them have like a kiln to heat the metal up and beat it down?
The stock removal guys and the stock removal guys will grind usually using a high-end stainless steels, the ATS, the 154 CMs. They'll grind their stuff away, and then it generally gets sent away to some big heat treating
Okay,
facilities
okay.
who do it under a vacuum at super high temps. And then the folks who are forging, they can generally do their own heat treat right there with the equipment they have in their forge.
Okay. And then I'm taking then your background with the files got started in the fact that you already had a piece of steel that was close to the shape that you needed it, and you could.
Absolutely. Stock removal, it was dirt cheap. It's already hardened. My grinder, I can grind it while it's hard. I don't have to heat it up until it glows red and let it get cool again.
Right.
So my knives incorporate a little bit of both worlds, the stock removal and the forging.
Right.
Because my blades are generally just ground out of that file. And then with my handles, I can get creative and bend and twist and heat and pound and do that sort of stuff.
Now,
So
have you been up to Haywood? Have you seen her?
I was at Haywood this past weekend. I was a guest of Jason Knight. He's a fantastic maker. Harleyville, South Carolina, does a lot of really large Bowies and some small practical hunters and a wide range of great knives. A fantastic guy.
Now, is he an instructor up there? Or?
He was instructing a class, a 3-day class,
Okay.
a small class there for about a half a dozen folks. And I was very honored to be his guest and meet other folks and see what they're doing and how they approach the knife maker's craft.
Well, let's say you're just wanting to get started then, and you want to go beyond the experience of just like buying a knife from you, although I would suggest that would be a place to start, because with your collection, outdoors people and artists are very visual people, if you ask me, that take in a lot of information. As a deer hunter, man, I'm also a falconer. I mean, I understand the habits of deer or my red-tailed hawk, and I'm sure from your knife collecting days, they had influence on you as you studied the lines of a knife,
Oh, absolutely.
how blades were made, how handles were put on.
Absolutely.
Right?
I did 25 years of research before I ever picked up the first knife to grind.
So
Absolutely.
your rise to knife-making rock star was not overnight, is what you're saying. Then.
I'll let you know when I have a full entourage and a backup crowd and a bus.
You got me and Sam right now.
I'll let you know when I'm there. I'll feel a little more rock star.
Well, let me ask you this then, because we were talking earlier too. Let's say you got a young kid that's 14, 15 years old, or somebody like that, and I just want to start making a knife, but I want to start at entry level. You were giving me some really good practical ways to get started into knife making with like hair dryers and different things like that.
Absolutely. If there was one book that I recommend dozens of times a month at the shows that we do, because we do have a lot of young folks and older fellows who are familiar with the knife tradition, the file tradition of reusing on the farm.
Right.
And I always recommend Wayne Goddard's book, The $50 Knife Shop.
Okay.
He'll show you how to use washing machine motors, hair dryers, charcoal grills, car springs, where to get resources extremely cheap. And in this economy, the more you can get from as little resources as possible, the greater the chance that somebody's going to take it home with them. And that's why I focus on the work that I do. I get the stuff so cheaply that I just pour a lot of time in it, and I want it to look good, feel good, and work well. And I want others to pick it up and enjoy it. And it saves so much money on my end that I can afford to buy more belts.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
Well, and not only that, practically they are pieces of art, if you ask me. I mean, they are. So.
I feel like a sculptor who's making usable sculpture.
Yeah.
I do. There's an art to it. I don't sit down and draw and have visions before they happen. It's just, again, I've handled so many other folks' knives. I know what one shouldn't feel like.
Right. All right, well, tell me about your most memorable knife-making experience.
My most memorable knife-making experience would have to be the Atlanta Blade Show last year when it was our first time doing the show. We actually called them 8 days before the show to see if they had a table left. And we got in at the last minute. There was a cancellation. And during that show, A.G. Russell walked up to the table and picked up my knife I make called the Little Pig. And again, he said, "Hey, that's cute. If you'll get right with me, I'll take 100. So that immediately, having been a kid, 15 years old, getting that catalog, looking at it, for that to happen, it felt like, that's too soon, come back in a few years. But I was going to jump on that opportunity, and I did. I'm glad I did. It's been a great way for my work to get out there and get exposure. I still get folks who come up to us at the show and say, "Oh, I've seen your work in A.G. Russell."
Cool.
It's very cool to me.
Yeah.
It's humbling to think that people actually pay attention to what we do.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, we're talking with my buddy Danny Robinson about Robinson X Files and his passion for knife making, and we'll be right back with more live God's Great Land of the Wild radio show on 95.7 The Choice.
The local community. WGNW 95.7 The Choice.
95.7 The Choice would like to thank Dry Pros for their generous support. Dry Pros has 27 years of experience in the cleaning, restoration, mold remediation, and waterproofing of homes and businesses just like yours. Whether it's a routine cleaning or restoration from flood damage or mold, the team at Dry Pros has the experience to get it done right the first time. Cleaning all types of floors, windows, fine area rugs, and upholstery, they cover it all. For more information, their number is 828-277-9511. That's 828-277-9511, or visit them on the web at www.drypros.com. That's www.drypros.com.
Programming at 95.7 The Choice is made possible with the generous support of business partners like Area 22 Guitars. Area 22 Guitars is Western North Carolina's only boutique guitar shop. Whether it's an American-made all-tube hand-wired amp like Matchless, divided by 13, Carr, or Fargen, or a US-built custom luthier electric guitar brand like Anderson, PWE, Zion, Rowan, or Gatto, Area 22 Guitars specializes in the unique needs of the discerning musician. They carry a full line of boutique effect pedals like Keeley, Exotic, Rockbox, Menatone, and Wampler. And their acoustic guitars include Breedlove, Larrivee, Eastman, Bedell, and Crafter. Area 22 Guitars, not your average guitar shop. For more information, go to area22guitars.com or call them at 828-884-2222. That's 828-884-2222.
.7 The Choice would like to express our thanks to our business supporters like Ichiban School of Self-Defense. Ichiban Mixed Martial Arts provides a safe, family-oriented environment for people of all ages and skill levels to be able to train and prosper, both mentally and physically. Whether your interests are physical fitness, self-defense, competition, or just a healthy outlet for stress release, Ichiban Mixed Martial Arts will provide the tools to reach your goal. Their programs provide a well-rounded athletic approach to martial arts in a safe, fun, family environment. For more information, go to ichibanmma.com. That's ichibanmma.com, or call them at 828-423-0662. That's 828-423-0662.
Hey, welcome back to the Brent Robert Outdoor Show. We're just chewing the fat about nothing. Now we're going to get back into knife making with Danny Robinson, owner of Robinson X-File Knives. Danny's he's been interesting to talk to and kind of get his take on knife making and just see the timeline of his life as he's gotten into knife making and knife collecting and then knife making and now doing it as a living. I always tell every one of my boys, man, do what you love to do, that's for sure. Danny, share with us, what makes a quality hunting knife? I mean, Sam and I are both into hunting, and in your estimation, what would make a quality hunting knife?
You know, that there's so many good knives that out there for folks to use. Generally, something a 2.5 to 3 inch blade length is perfect for most what you'll encounter in this area and anywhere else. It's drop point versus clip point versus semi-skinner. Everybody has a preference. I tend to believe that something along the semi-skinner line is probably the most practical all-around hunting knife. You can skin with it, you can cut with it, you can use it as a steak knife if you wanted to.
Right.
But you want a good solid blade, a good solid handle, and obviously a sheath to keep that thing in that won't cause you harm. That's why I use the Kydex. You can throw it in your pocket, you can drop it in a pack. The blade won't come through the material.
Yeah.
You can hang it around your neck. The best hunting knife is the one you happen to have with you.
Yeah.
So if it's not practical and it's not easy to carry, you won't have it with you.
And there's another thing, too, that I got into and looked at. The whole thing about making a Kydex sheath.
Right.
You did your little drop point knives go into, you can put them on the keychains, they snap in there real nice. I started looking at that and even looking around and seeing other things that I have that I'd like to put in a sheath like that. And I was like, dude, there's a whole science behind that, is there not?
There is. Flashlights, guns. You know, law enforcement uses a lot of Kydex. It holds around firearms and flashlights, but there are folks using them for cell phone holders. And it's actually material, I believe it was originally intended to be used for injury to limbs, for casts and braces and that sort of thing.
Because you make your own cases, don't you?
Absolutely, right.
Yeah.
I do my own Kydex work.
So not only do you get a handmade knife, but the case that comes with it is custom for the knife. Correct?
Oh, it has to be, right. It's molded around the knife individually. Each knife has a sheath that's molded specifically for that knife.
You know, not that I'm not going to say anything about, because there are good quality box house knives that you can end up getting. But I'm the type of guy that when I go out, and I like to have something that's a little bit different.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, when you're out, are you the same
Oh
way?
yeah, oh yeah.
I mean,
A buck or a case knife is just something everybody and their brother's got one of. That if they're in the outdoors,
or can get one. Hey, man, I like that knife. Yeah, and I can go to BPS and go get it or something.
yeah.
like
But
that.
when you pull out a knife that's made out of an old file from a machine shop, that's sort of like pulling out a camouflage bob.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
people remember that.
You know, or like when I show up with you, people remember that.
That's exactly
I'm gonna
right.
get him. I knew it was coming. Dan, let me ask you this, because we talked, and I don't want to miss this either, because I think this is another thing that I think that, in my mind, as I look through things, among other people that I've seen from our area, kind of sets you apart is the Highlands Craft Guild, right? The South Highland Craft Guild. Talk a little bit about that.
The Southern Highland Craft Guild is based here in Asheville. It covers 9 states from Alabama to Maryland, and you have to live in the Appalachian counties of those states to jury into the guild. And a lot of folks will move to the area to jury, and it's a great organization. There's some extremely talented artists, wood turners, potters, jewelers, glass blowers, and somehow me.
Yeah.
Somehow I got in there.
Well, I mean, in order, because I talked to somebody that got involved in that, but in order to get involved, you have to actually make something out of raw materials. You can't, like, well, I make these knives and I buy my blades and I put pins together.
Right. You have to do.
I mean, if you
there's a
bought your blades and
but-
put them in a deer bone deal, you're not allowed in.
No, you are
Yeah.
juried in by the artists who are already in, and they are pretty particular, and rightfully so, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of great people doing a lot of good stuff, but they're looking for specifically for folks who are doing the majority of the work. They have different categories, traditional crafts, those sorts of things, but you definitely have to do your work. Somebody came to me one day and said, "So are you doing this in a CNC?" And we were at a guild show, and I said, "Yeah," and I showed him my left hand and said "C," and my right hand and said "C." And there's your CNC right there, you know. They looked at the scratches and burns on my hand, and that's when they
So by the
understood it has to be
CNC, you're talking
handmade.
about a machine where it grabs a chunk of steel, it comes on in and grinds it down.
You're
and
right.
just
You,
drops
you
it in
program it with a computer
Yeah,
and
yeah,
sip
yeah,
coffee
yeah.
while it does the work.
Yeah.
No, the guild would definitely frown on that.
Yeah, well, see, and that's what that's the difference between. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and that you can't get a quality knife that way, but you're talking about something different when you go into a handmade knife that you make with your hands.
You're taking home a piece of that craft person.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a connection that you make, and this area is rich in traditional histories and crafts, and a lot of great artists in this area that are contributing to those crafts.
Let me get into this too, because I always ask this question of everybody that comes by. Who, and this can be in the knife making world, whoever, it's not limited to that though, who had the most influence in your life?
No, I would have to say, well, me by some of the choices I've made and not made, but in my knife making life, it would be George Herron again. Just as a kid, I wanted a knife from the guy across the river, and my father was not going to spend $60 on a knife.
Right.
So it took me a while to get that knife,
I hear
but I
you.
finally
Now,
did.
if I remember right from talking to you about your story, that was the guy you took your piece of paper to and said, "Make me 10 of these."
No, that was his student, Wayne.
Oh,
That's
oh,
right,
okay,
Wayne.
okay,
Wayne has kind of the only person who can really say they've worked with George Herron in his shop. George was a very giving fellow who just, doors were open. If you wanted to see what he was doing,
Right.
pretty much come in. And he was responsible for turning a lot of folks on to doing it. But Wayne was probably the one that only one who can say he worked in George's shop.
Okay,
He's a hunting knife maker.
I got you. Do you have any advice for our listeners who may want to become involved with making custom knives?
It's easier to buy one of those box knives right out of the box.
Yeah.
But if you want to make a knife, no need to spend a ton of money. You can do it with very little resources. I prefer to use as many recyclable resources as I can.
Right.
Again, it's keeping something that's otherwise headed for the landfill from going there, and I usually get it cheaper, so it keeps my prices down, and my customers like that.
Right.
I try to get the quality up and the price down.
You still have the first knife you made?
Wayne Hendricks has that knife.
Oh, does he?
Wayne took that one from me.
Do you, if you look at that knife today and the ones you're making now, do you see a vast difference on your education as you've self-educated?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so-
Your eye becomes more and more refined, and your customers become more and more refined.
Yeah. So it's like, don't quit at the first one, even though you may think it's ugly.
Definitely
right?
not. Don't quit. Keep working at it. Find someone in your area who has some resources. Go online. There's great stuff out there. plenty of books. If somebody's in this area is struggling, needs questions answered, you can call me.
Yeah, that's a resource. I've seen that with a lot of the knife. And the $50 knife shop book sounded like a good resource, too.
Fantastic. I got a worn, dirty copy that I refer to all the time.
Yeah.
It's a great piece of publication. Great
Well,
piece of print.
one of the things, Danny, I see is your passion for knife making. And I just want to thank you for stopping by, sitting on the front porch at Sam and I, and just kind of chewing the fat about knives and knife art and, you know, what you got going on in your life. Where are you going to be for your next show?
We're in Atlanta this weekend at the Expo Center, and you can check my Facebook page for more pictures and to kind of keep up with where we're going to be. We're plugging in more shows. Anne Marie does all my scheduling, so I have to check with her and see where we are next.
And then you're always here when Mike Kent does his local shows.
I
You're
do
here,
the
right?
local show in Fletcher. I'm 4 miles from it. I'll do it until he throws me out.
Yeah, so if you want to keep up with what Danny's got going on here locally and stop in and see him, you can email him. His website, his email, his cell phone. Is that your cell phone?
That's my cell.
That's
That's
a cell
the
phone
number to
number.
catch me.
So if you've got an interest in doing that, or you've got an interest in seeing his knives, you can gather up all that information at facebook.com, God's Great Land of the Wild, and you can follow the links, and I think you'll really enjoy what he's got there. And you can even, like I said, Google his name or Google his business, and you'll get a whole nother level and layer of knife-making information. Right now, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with the Outdoor Life segment, and Sam's going to share with us how iron sharpens iron. You'll need to stick around for that.
The local community. WGNW 95.7, The Choice.
95.7 The Choice would like to thank Dry Pros for their generous support. Dry Pros has 27 years of experience in the cleaning, restoration, mold remediation, and waterproofing of homes and businesses just like yours. Whether it's a routine cleaning or restoration from flood damage or mold, the team at Dry Pros has the experience to get it done right the first time. Cleaning all types of floors, windows, fine area rugs, and upholstery, they cover it all. For more information, their number is 828-277-9511. That's 828-277-9511, or visit them on the web at www.drypros.com. That's www.drypros.com.
Programming at 95.7 The Choice is made possible with the generous support of business partners like Area 22 Guitars. Area 22 Guitars is Western North Carolina's only boutique guitar shop. Whether it's an American-made all-tube hand-wired amp like Matchless, Divided by 13, Carr, or Fargen, or a U.S.-built custom luthier electric guitar brand like Anderson, PWE, Zion, Rowan, or Gatto, Area 22 Guitars specializes in the unique needs of the discerning musician. They carry a full line of boutique effect pedals like Keeley, Exotic, Rockbox, Menatone, and Wampler. And their acoustic guitars include Breedlove, Larrivee, Eastman, Bedell, and Crafter. Area 22 Guitars, not your average guitar shop. For more information, go to area22guitars.com or call them at 828-884-2222. That's 828-884-2222.
.7 The Choice would like to express our thanks to our business supporters like Ichiban School of Self-Defense. Ichiban Mixed Martial Arts provides a safe, family-oriented environment for people of all ages and skill levels to be able to train and prosper, both mentally and physically. Whether your interests are physical fitness, self-defense, competition, or just a healthy outlet for stress release, Ichiban Mixed Martial Arts will provide the tools to reach your goal. Their programs provide a well-rounded athletic approach to martial arts in a safe, fun, family environment. For more information, go to ichibanmma.com. That's ichibanmma.com, or call them at 828-423-0662. That's 828-423-0662.
So he's just around on the weekend. Okay, we're back, and you're listening to God's Great Land of the Wild radio show at 95.7 The Choice. I'm your host, Brent. with my co-hostess with the mostest, Samuel Lee. Did you see where I had that written in there? You missed that, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Ooh, yeah, you gave me the evil eyes, like, don't do that again. Anyway, we were talking with Danny Robinson about Robinson X-Files, had a great interview with him about his knife-making abilities and skills, and I've personally bought his knives and handled them, and they're great stuff. If you have knife collectors in your life, man, it's something you want to get for them. You can find out more about Danny and about Robinson X-Files by going to facebook.com, God's Great Land of the Wild. I got a bunch of stuff up there, and I got several more resources I'll put up after the show. But right now, Sam is going to share with us our Outdoor Life segment about how iron sharpens iron. Sam, take her away and close us down.
All
buddy.
right. You know, what I was thinking about as far as the Outdoor Life segment, have you ever heard someone refer to a knife as an old trusted friend?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's what we're going to talk about, because unlike today, while I was growing up in the North Carolina mountains, it was common for a young boy to have a pocket knife in his pocket.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I would say that was probably a rite of passage for me and all my hunting buddies. There were just two important rules that we always followed. Number one is never cut toward yourself, and always be careful with a dull knife. Now, as I was growing up, I grew to love knives, and as a young boy, that was something that I collected, and I still do today.
Right.
And yes, I do have a knife collection that I have in a safety box at home. And you know, when friends and family come over, I like to pull it out and oil up the knives and wipe them down and clean them off, and then put them back in the safety box to restore them so that they're not just out collecting dust or getting rusty.
Right.
Well, there's nothing like having a good sharp knife when you need it, which may be after a successful hunt, as we've experienced from time to time, or after a fishing trip when we come in with our limit of rainbow trout.
Absolutely.
Or just sitting around the campfire, whittling on a stick of wood. You know, that's a lot of fun to do that with family. It doesn't matter the occasion. What matters is that the knife is in good shape for its intended purpose. And when I say shape, what I'm really saying is sharp.
Sharpness.
Because
yeah.
it's real important that you have a sharp knife, because a dull knife can do more damage than good. Although my knife is always in my pocket, along with my keys and other things that I cherish, like my wallet.
Right.
I may not use it quite as often as I do those items, but I would refer to it as a trusted friend.
Yeah.
And it performs well when needed. You
Right.
know, like cleaning out your fingernails or cutting open an envelope or something like that. You know, I remember the times in my life when I've misplaced my pocket knife. You know,
Panic.
And panic. I'm looking for it and I can't find it. And you know what relief and joy I have when a few days later I find my knife, my old trusted friend, in an old pair of pants that I hung up somewhere, a pair of work pants. And that's a relief when I find it, because my trusted friend is back. Well, when I think of my knife as a trusted friend, it reminds me of the passage in Proverbs 27:17 that says, "As iron sharpens iron, a friend sharpens a friend." You know, the very nature of the term friendship can be defined by the sharpening of one another,
Right.
the betterment of one another. Friends are always beneficial, and will be even more so when a good cutting edge is present. Friends sharpen one another. My friends make me a better person. Believe it or not, Brent, you make me a better person.
Man, I'm sorry I said that about you earlier.
Not by cutting me down, but by sharpening my skills and thoughts and motives for the good.
Absolutely.
If my friends are using dull and abrasive comments to cut me down to size, I really need to be asking, are those truly my friends?
Right.
True friends hold one another accountable. When a genuine friend views another as traveling a destructive path, they confront each other because they care. Friends help when they see each other experiencing financial difficulties, struggling with difficult decisions, and so on. Friends stretch my mental capabilities by helping me to view ideas with greater clarity.
Amen.
The Bible says there's wisdom where there is much counsel. I consider friends people that are counselors who speak into my life. An authentic friend may attack my ideas and my attitudes and my actions, but they will never attack me. In fact, they will defend me. And that is the mindset of our God in heaven, who will be our closest friend if we allow. God knows who and what we need to help make us the best person that we can be. He places those we can trust to care for us, challenge us, and sharpen us so that we can prepare for what the world throws at us. When true friends give advice, remember it comes from love. Adverse circumstances, disagreements, and times of testing will in fact make us stronger. Only if we will yield ourselves and allow the sharpening to occur in our lives. Proverbs 27:17, as iron sharpens iron, a friend sharpens a friend. And that's our outdoor segment for the day. This is Sam Bennett. May God bless you as you enjoy the outdoors. We'll see you next week on God's Great Land of the Wild.
Amen. Rock and roll.
All
We'll
right.
see y'all next week.
.7 FM, The Choice, Candler, Asheville.